You might think car accident settlements happen fast, but that's not always true. In this video, I'll explain why your case may be taking longer than expected and what you can do to speed things up. If you want to know more about car accident settlements, check out my motor vehicle accident playlist below. How long do car accident settlements take? The amount of time a car accident settlement can take generally varies depending on the case, the circumstances surrounding the case, and how quickly we can assemble the records. You can look at cases as generally three types of cases. One is very severe, serious injuries. Second might be mild to medium bodily injuries. The third would be very minor bodily injuries. The minor category generally can be resolved pretty quickly depending on how quickly we can assemble the records. The only thing that would really slow down that process in terms of negotiating with the insurance company to try to get a settlement is assembling medical records, the police records, and any other records pertaining to the accident of that day, because the settlement negotiations really center around what the record has been established pertaining to the circumstances surrounding the accident. In medium bodily injury cases, cases that involve accidents where there is an injury but there's not substantial long-term implications from that injury, those type of cases really can take either half a year to a year and a half to resolve. Oftentimes, some of the biggest processes in those cases is assembling the medical records and doing a determination to evaluate what the damages are in those cases, and then negotiating the damages with either the insurance company or the opposing party's counsel. The last category of cases would be your serious bodily injury cases, which could involve death in some circumstances and also can involve, loss of limb or very serious long-term lasting injuries to the victim of the car accident. In those circumstances, those cases can be highly contentious because there's a lot in line for the victims in the case. And those cases can take a year to 2 years and sometimes longer, depending on how all the circumstances play out in terms of either litigation or settlement negotiations and collecting all of the proof and support for the damages that the plaintiff or the victim might be seeking to claim in a case like that. What factors can affect settlement time in a car accident case? As I said before, severity can impact the timeline for a case. Other circumstances that can affect the timeline for a settlement could be dispute over liability. For example, in some cases, when you're negotiating either with the insurance company or with opposing counsel, there's dispute as to who's responsible for the accident. In those type of situations, it's important to hire a counsel because a counsel can assist you with determining whose duty it is in those type of situations, who breached their duty to establish the negligence to pursue a claim and to establish liability on the part of the other party. Other circumstances that can affect the timing for how long it takes to reach a resolution is how contentious the proceedings are. For example, if you're seeking to get the maximum amount of money that you can in the case, and you're working with either a difficult opposing counsel or an insurance company that's negotiating very hard, oftentimes you have to take that to litigation to push for the type of damages that you're seeking in that case, which can prolong the amount of time which you reach a resolution. And then the last component that could extend the timeline is collecting the information about the accident itself and the injuries surrounding the accident. Medical records themselves can take a very long time to assemble, and there can be developments in terms of the medical status of the victim. Is how quickly you can assemble all of the facts and circumstances surrounding the accident itself. So those factors themselves can either cause the settlement or resolution timeline to be extended or shortened depending on how quickly some of those items can either be resolved or collected. How does the car accident settlement process work? The car accident settlement process typically occurs in stages. The first stage is that an accident happens and you reach out to counsel to present a claim for you towards the other party. At that stage, it's collecting information and presenting that claim to the insurance company. So the next stage after asserting that claim initially to the insurance company will be the collection phase, where you're collecting the medical records, you're collecting police reports, you're collecting insurance information from the other party, and you're also looking into your own insurance information. At that point, if the insurance company is not cooperative or you feel that you've got a stronger claim than the insurance company is recognizing, the last stage is actually proceeding to litigation, because litigation can actually lead to more discovery in the case, which may help prove the liability or the damages that you're seeking. Or on the other end, it can put pressure on the insurance company itself to present you with the damages that you're seeking. What should you do if your settlement's taking too long? Every case is different, and depending on the type of case and the situation, circumstances, I might handle trying to push an insurance company to speed things up differently. For example, if we're asserting that the damages exceed the maximum of the insurance coverage, the first thing I'll do is send a bad faith letter to the insurance company demanding that they pay out that max coverage. On the other hand, if the coverage exceeds the amount that the damages can establish, in those type of circumstances, I'd send a demand letter and usually I'd set a timeline, setting a date or a certain amount of time in which I expect a response from the insurance company. Otherwise, we'll be filing for litigation.